Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cartel Hour, where we do live tastings and discussions of all kinds of spirits with the people who make them, use them, and enjoy them. My name is Cameron Stevens.
And my name is Seth Benheim. Together, we're covering everything from familiar bottles to rare and exclusive releases from near and far away. If it's distilled, it's on the podcast.
Featured in Rolling Stone, GQ, Men's Journal, and more, we bring celebrity guests, master distillers, and industry veterans to chat about the latest in the spirits world. Terry Bradshaw. You know the name from football, of course, both from his Hall of Fame-worthy quarterbacking for the Pittsburgh Steelers and his energetic career in commentary. Or you might know him from commercials, books, country music albums, raising cattle, or even feature films and reality television. But a hardworking man always has his drink of choice, and for Terry, that's bourbon. Teaming up with master distiller Jacob Call with Green River Distilling in Owensboro, Kentucky, and taking direction from spirits industry veteran Ryan McElveen, Bradshaw Bourbon was born. We chat with Terry and the team about their first ever drink, the process of designing a bourbon from the ground up, and, of course, we had to grill Terry on Super Bowl predictions. We're here to learn a little bit and drink a little bit, so grab a glass and let's enjoy. Welcome back to the Infusory for another episode of the Cartel Hour. My name is Cameron Stevens.
I'm Seth Benheim.
And we have the folks from Bradshaw Bourbon here today. We have Ryan McElveen, we have Jacob Call, and we have, well, football legend Terry Bradshaw.
Excellent. Well, today we've got a really interesting assortment of you guys on the podcast, of amazing guests to talk about this new product that you've put out, Terry, called Bradshaw Bourbon. Coming out of Owensboro, Kentucky, with master distiller Jacob Call, and Ryan over here is the COO of the company. And there's so much I want to dive into and learn about how this all came about, what started it, what conversation led to you guys getting together.
It's gonna be
and
fun.
Here we are, X amount of time later, with this product that we're going to actually open in just a second here and dive into. First time, his first time trying it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I thought one of the fun places to start would be, I mean, look, you guys obviously enjoy spirits. Like, what was your very first drink? Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Because I was not a drinker in college nor the pros. So it's pretty easy for me to tell you. Schlitz beer.
Schlitz
There
beer.
you go. There you go.
Schlitz beer. Schlitz. And I remember a friend of mine from New Orleans, he said, we had a spring game, then we were going to a party on the lake. All I drank was Coca-Cola. And he said, I've got you a date tonight with a cheerleader from LSU, blind date. And he said, she loves beer. I said, okay, whatever. And so we got there to the party, and party was going, a big bonfire, and it was pretty cool. And they drug out the igloos and Schlitz beer. So I said, well, you know what? Time for me to have a beer. Let me tell you what happened. I drank a fourth of the beer and went and got in a car and passed out.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. They kept trying to wake me up, and my date obviously was not real happy with me, but it hammered me. I had a pure virgin body. You have to understand that.
Your first bourbon. Do you remember your first whiskey, first bourbon?
Well, my first bourbon, guess it probably would have been some Jack Daniels.
Well, I think that leads to Jacob. That's the $1 million question. Is Jack Daniels bourbon? And
I feel like Jacob's like squirming in his seat a little.
Let the comments flood in.
I know my first drink. My dad worked at Jim Beam, and he always had those Jim Beam decanters kind of laying around the house. So I'm pretty sure my first was one of those little decanter type pulls, probably.
There you go.
Hey, for a young kid, hitting the hard stuff, that would be rough.
And Ryan, what about you, man? What's your first whiskey or drink that you can remember?
So my first drink, I spent my formative years growing up in Germany. My dad was in the military, and but we had beer or wine with dinner every night. Just even when we were a kid, like just 7, 8 years old, we would have like wine or beer with dinner. It wasn't a big deal. But my first bourbon, gosh, when I was in college, I drank George Dickel. So Tennessee, because it was given to me as a birthday present for my 21st birthday. And so George Dickel was my college drink. But my first bourbon, also a birthday present, I was working at a distributor in Orlando, and my boss gave me a bottle of Knob Creek. This is 1995. So Knob Creek, Baker's, Booker's, all that stuff just coming out. It was just becoming popular. And I still have a special place for Knob Creek to this day.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. And so that's kind of like you guys each have your individual experiences that bring you into what we're talking about today, which is Bradshaw.
I know.
Bourbon.
Let's get into the bourbon. I mean, what I would love to hear about is, Terry, you've branched off into a lot of different things after your football career. Why do a bourbon?
Well, my preferred drink when I hit my 30s was bourbon. And probably like you guys, I tried a lot of them trying to find, I guess I was looking for a taste. As the years went by, I never gave thought to branding myself and coming out with anything. I turned down, my gosh, I don't know how many offers for, beer, all kinds of offers at restaurants. And I passed on all those things. And I just, for some reason, got to thinking, wow, I'd really like to get a bourbon and put my name on a bourbon. Now, how do you do that? My brother drinks bourbon. My wife drinks bourbon. My kids will drink anything. And so,
including bourbon.
You can, yeah. Oh, I like this. Way to go, Seth. There you go.
I didn't pour enough on the first one.
Yeah, we went easy.
I didn't know.
So we decided, I told them, here's my taste. Here's what I like. Here's what I've been drinking. And I've been drinking various whiskeys. But this is the taste I want. And to Ryan's credit, he hit it. He got it. And he said, okay, we're going to go back and we'll go to the drawing board and let's see what we can get done. And then he went to, Ryan's much better at the story. I just kind of go all over the place. But let's just say that we go to Green Rivers. Ryan goes there, meets with Jacob and the master distiller, and says, we want to start a bourbon with Terry Bradshaw's. Terry Bradshaw wants to have a bourbon, and here's what we want. So Ryan got in with the chemist, and they all started putting this thing all together. The taste. No, that's not good. Ryan will fill in the blanks. And finally, after a year, they thought they had it. So they brought 2 bottles to Los Angeles during football season. And so they all met me in Los Angeles, and we sat down, and they brought out 2 bottles of bourbon. Okay. 2 bottles.
Just 2. After all this, a year of research came down to 2 bottles.
Two different, what do you say, Ryan? I'll say blends.
Mash bills?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, there were 2 different mash bills, but they were both from Green River. We kind of interviewed 5 different distilleries before we settled on Green River.
I'm gonna ask you about how you settled in a moment.
Yeah.
You got these 2 bottles.
Right. 2 bottles, no label. Tasted it. And I went, oh my God, this is fantastic. Absolutely I couldn't get over how good it was. I mean, man, this is good. So we talked about another 30 or 40 minutes, ate a cracker, poured the next one. And I went, oh my God, this is even better. I mean, and I was like, if I'm in love with something, I'll oversell it. If I have a bad habit, I'll oversell. You've got to try my Bradshaw bourbon. You've got to try it. You're going to love it. It's different than anything you've ever had before. And that's just the way it was. Okay, so we defined the mash bill. So now we had a kind of a marketing plan. And then I said, I want the bottle to look like Gunsmoke, the television series, because they always had a long neck. Yes, long neck.
Like that.
Where you can hold it like
Real
that.
grip it.
And a
Good
smooth,
pour.
a smooth bottle, really clean. And I did not want the bottle to be a gaudy celebrity bottle.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's very clean. It's very
Yeah,
understated ever so
I
slightly.
wanted the bourbon to stand on its own. And if Bradshaw helps get people to try it, great. But after that, take the name off. And like when I tasted it, there's no name on it. When you taste it, I want you to say to yourself, well, this is really good stuff. Roll it around, Bradshaw Bourbon.
So just for anyone listening and not watching on YouTube, for the podcast listeners, what's great about the bottle is it's very timeless, very classic, very whiskey. It's got that slight taper to it, nice big flint on the bottom. And you've got a couple little elements here that Terry's describing, including the 4X on top for the 4 times you've won the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's got the Super Bowl Roman numerals on the front that you won. So you've got 9, 10, 13, and 14.
14.
There you go. And you have the 1974, 75, 78, and 79 years on the right-hand side. But all this is kind of pushed around the bottle away from the main label strip here, which has the Bradshaw Bourbon. And it's 103.8 proof, which is 51.9 percent alcohol, which is, that's not light. I mean, that's not messing around.
Yeah.
51.9 is pretty substantial. It's pretty hard.
It is. So all of that was Ryan. All I did was sign the bottle with the signature, and it's in red.
Yeah.
And you approved the bottle. You approved the whiskey in it.
That is mine right there. That's what I approved. I almost get a little bit defensive because celebrity bourbon, oh, here we got another celebrity. And when we're working this. I mean, I'm a working man. I'm standing behind this, working my butt off. All of us are. We want this to be a major player in the bourbon whiskey category. As my life moves on, like I said, I'm 72. As my life progresses, and one of these days Spock says no more, I want to be able to say that's okay. My bourbon commanding more attention than I need to give it anyway. So bourbon whiskey is so, to me, it's got such a fantastic history behind it.
Absolutely. It's the most American. It's the most American thing you can drink. It's the most American thing you can put in your body from a
basically.
It's something that that's my opinion. I mean, it's strong though. And you look, Terry, you're sitting next to one of the preliminary distillers of this generation right now. I mean, you got Jacob Call on the call. And you've got had to. I recently became a father, so the dad jokes are just
just keeping coming.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I have a daughter now. She's 7 weeks old.
I got 3 of them.
I know you're a girl dad, but Jacob, tell us a little bit about the whiskey. What are we drinking? What did you present these guys? Where did the process start, and where did it end? Tell us a little bit about that, Jacob.
Yeah, I worked with Ryan pretty closely on picking out these different mash bills. This particular product is 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley. So it's a little bit higher on the rye side than some of your more, I call them heritage brands or traditional bourbons. So, it's going to give you that spice and pepper and just a little more robust flavor to it.
Absolutely.
Did you hit him with other mash bills? Did you throw anything at him that was a little higher?
We did. Yeah, we run some, some 13% rye bourbons. Okay. We do a wide variety of mash bills. We do 16%. We do.
There was a wheated one in the mix too. At one point.
Wheat whiskey, wheated bourbons.
It's a thing.
Very
popular.
Thing. Very popular.
Well, what's so interesting to me is, right, you have kind of the chemist and then you have the creative. And, Terry, when you were telling that story, you talked a little bit about other bourbons and things that you were drinking, as well as sort of different types of flavors. So I'm curious, kind of, what were the words and flavors and maybe even other bourbons that you were really enjoying that you wanted to give as reference? And then maybe the thought process behind it, Jacob and Ryan, as you were taking in that information and going, great, how do we use that and how do we translate that into what we have here today?
I'd already got started in bourbon. A lady in Hawaii gave me a barrel of Four Roses. She didn't want the extra barrel. She didn't need 2. She had 2. So she gave me one, set it up, called. I went up there, went in, met everyone, then we went through their 19 mash bills that they have set up.
Oh yeah.
And I could only taste 5 before I realized I better not taste anymore. And my wife was sipping them, and she circled this one. You circle what you like, and it's been a while since I did that. I drank that one, and then I got the barrel shipped to Florida because I can't buy a barrel. A retail store has to buy it. A place in Sarasota, Florida called Captain Kirk's took my barrel, and I had, I think, 100, 110, something, 108 bottles of bourbon. I went down there and went on the radio and told everybody $100, come buy all these bottles, and the money goes to Wounded Warriors. And we sold.
Oh, great.
Gone.
Just
like that. Gone. I went, oh, this is fun. Well, now I'm thinking, 2 barrels. How can I get 2 barrels? And the following year, went back down, sold it all. That kind of got me started. And I never did tell my wife this, but I never was really crazy about her mash bill.
Don't worry. Yeah, we'll cut that part out in a version we send her.
I think, Jacob, so, with this whiskey, and Ryan, you guys got Terry to a point where he loved what he was drinking. You narrowed it down to 2 bottles. You narrowed it down to this mash bill. Let's talk a little bit about, and again, I think it's time to maybe draw on a little bit about Green River. I've had the pleasure of being there many, many times personally. And Cam, one day I will get you out. I'll get you out there for sure.
So, it's just a very historic distillery here. It dates back to 1885. And, Terry got to walk around and see some of our old brick warehouses and whatnot here. And, we were fortunate enough to acquire back that trademark because the distillery burnt down in 1918 and was rebuilt. And we renamed the distillery in September of this past year back to the original name of the Green River Distillery. And, we have plans this year to launch the Green River brand. So it's really come full circle. And, a lot of people bring back historic brands and bottle them at different distilleries, but to be able to do it at its original starting place is pretty rare. Oh yeah.
I've got a little sample here that we might actually just taste at the end here, just for those listening and excited about Green River as a stop on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
That's right.
As well as a this institution that dates back over 100 years. I've got one of your barrel picks here of a 3-year, 9-month-old cask strength, 117 proof. So at the very end, I'll have a little nip of that.
I'd like a little bit of that too.
But your work as a master distiller.
So I'll go grab mine too.
Oh, you got one?
There you go. There you go.
I don't have one.
You got to talk to Ryan, Terry.
If you have a hard time getting one, I'd be shocked. If you don't get you'll get a full.
Probably make that happen.
You can probably get a barrel to sit next to your Four Roses barrel. So,
by the way, so let's just a little bit about the Four Roses thing. So I knew that Terry liked Four Roses. And I think Four Roses, like, don't quote me on this, it's like 75 corn, 20 rye, 5 malted barley. So you're looking at a very similar mash bill, high corn.
Absolutely.
And I think I let him taste the OESV single barrel. It was a barrel pick that I had done like several years ago. And he liked it. Like, you liked the Four Roses that I picked. That was one of the ones that we tried. And we just tried to mirror kind of that profile. And when I tasted Jacob's stuff, I was like, this is it. Like, this tastes like what that tastes like. And by the way, it tastes way better young than that other stuff does.
And that's the crazy part. So Green River has, or formerly OZ Tyler, really started putting barrels away in 2016. Is that right?
Yeah. So the distillery, when we got here, it was shut down for 25 years. So millions of dollars later, and a lot of hard work, we were able to reopen and start distilling in 2016. So we're just really excited to get to share finally, some of the fruits of our labor the world.
And for those that don't know, it's also the former Charles Medley distillery. And Jacob, you and I actually were going to lunch and we ran into Charles Medley, which was freaking awesome. That guy's a legend.
Yeah, if you go to a restaurant called Bill's here for lunch, there's a good chance you're going to see Charles there.
He's for bourbon fans listening, if you haven't tried Medley or a Wathins, those brands are, I know they're out in California now being bottled out here and where we are, but man, Medley, Wathins, those are also great whiskey brands to check out. But
yeah.
But
well, speaking of this one, I mean, what I'd like to do is I've been sipping on this.
Well, what are you getting from it?
I just poured my third glass.
Me too.
I think it's very well suited
got it.
for this. It's like you're sitting around, you're enjoying something that is robust, but it's easy drinking. And I love the rye influence. I do happen to be someone that enjoys rye myself. And that spiciness does come through.
Yep.
It's not an overly sweet bourbon, which I particularly like as well. Plenty of great body, really nice, rich, oily body. Like it's very, very good.
Well, I think, so the point I was drawing on was that this whiskey is around, anywhere from 2 to 4 years, right? Being a younger producing distillery that's been reborn and brought back to life. And so you've got the beauty of bourbon is that bourbon tastes fantastic at a young age. You don't want a 25 or 30-year-old bourbon. Something happens. Kind of think about like
it's like over steeping tea or something.
Yeah, coffee that's been sitting too long.
Yeah.
And so you get one thing I've noticed about this is probably the 4th or 5th different, maybe 6th different brand out of Owensboro that I've tried, discounting my own. And the beauty of everything out of your work, Jacob, is there's without fail beautiful caramel, overwhelming amount of vanilla, and great balance. That's the kind of the pillars, the 3 pillars that hold up the Owensboro whiskey out of Green River. It just pulls that lever all the way up on the vanilla flavor and then just brings home little raisin.
Yeah, I get this more like darker kind of toffee-esque note.
There's
that I really, really like. For me, it's not super vanilla forward. I can think of other bourbons that are more vanilla forward, but
really, the vanilla is overflowing for me.
There you go.
I get vanilla.
We have slightly different palates,
and we do.
Everybody tastes differently.
We do disagree. That's the beauty of the show. Is Cameron and I are never eye to eye on, except like on rare occasions.
Not even close to a full knowledgeable understanding of what you're talking about.
Well, thank you for your honesty.
No, I mean, you're experts at it. I'm just a consumer. I only went by the fact I like the way it tastes. I like the way it tastes.
Well, there's sort of a brilliance in that, right? I mean, the reality is that the whiskey nerds can dissect things all day long, but the general consumer doesn't typically do that. Exactly. They're drinking it like you drink it, Terry. And the marriage of those two perspectives is what gets you something like this. This is a bit of a shot in the dark, but here's something for you, Terry. If you don't want to describe it with the verbiage that we're using here, if you could take a moment from your football career and describe this bourbon as a moment from your football career, which moment would it be?
Wow. I got drafted in the NFL, which was a dream of mine. And that moment was overwhelming. Coming out of a small school was overwhelming, and to be drafted number 1. And I think my bourbon, I'm as giddy and as excited about the path that we're on with this great team that we've put together. It's so exciting. It's never ending fun. I love it when critics taste it and give us a good review. It's just like, that's my baby.
Like us. Just like us.
Yes. It just makes you feel like the fruits of your labor are coming true. That would be the best way to describe it.
You know, on the podcast in the last year, tasted somewhere around 300 different spirits.
That is true.
This is an easy drinking, but also is going to appeal to, I don't know. It really straddles a lovely line. It's people who are just entering, and you can also sit around and drink it with bourbon experts, and they can, you know, appreciate that little bit higher proof, which adds to the body. I mean, it's really fantastic.
One of the interesting things in putting this together, 51.9%. It's also my NFL completion percentage.
Oh.
So there's some.
That's brilliant.
They're in
little Easter egg on the bottle.
They're in. Hey, listen, I did not know that.
Wait, so whose idea was that then?
Ryan.
Yeah, okay.
Ryan's idea.
It tastes good at that proof. That's the
how it happened, Ryan.
It was really kind of a happy accident because we were working with Terra Sencha on a couple of different projects, and we were trying to figure out if we were going to use them for this. And I tasted some barrel samples that were really good, like the one you're about to taste. It's 117 proof. And I mean, just blew me away. Reed had sent me some samples, I mean, years ago. And I loved those. And then we started tasting them around 80, 85, 86. And they weren't hitting the same notes at that lower proof. And so I said, let's start at the barrel proof strength and work our way down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Other way.
Absolutely.
Until we find where it tastes good. And so this whiskey tasted really good between 103 and 105. And so we're sitting in my office lab here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And one of my interns is sitting next to me, and I'm tasting. I've got like a couple of like this one and this one, and this one tastes good at this proof. And I said to her, and I looked up some of his statistics before, and I thought that his passing completion rate was around 50%. And when she said it was 52% or 51.9, I said, that's it.
You're in the zone.
you're right there.
You're at the end zone.
We're going to bottle it at 51.9% because number one, it's where the whiskey tastes the best to me anyway. And also it's a nice little Easter egg tribute to Terry's career. And it just came to me at that moment, like, that's what we got to do.
It's no surprise that cask strength whiskey has just been number one on Whiskey Advocate's list year after year after year. And people are buying premium whiskeys. They are going for higher proofs, which is funny because this is the same year. These are the same years and times where, you know, RTDs and canned cocktails and non-alc are blowing up. And yet cask strength whiskey, which is like the polar opposite, is just blowing up as well. It's like, let me get less drunk and more drunk, and both are both are like hockey stick graphs through the roof. It's just a phenomenon.
I think it really speaks to the experimental nature of the American consumer. It's tough to command a higher price for a whiskey that's 2 or 3 years old when there are other whiskeys on the market in that same price point that are older, even if they don't taste the same. There's a perception among the consumer that a 3-year-old whiskey is worth X and not more than X.
Yeah.
Until Peerless came around.
Yeah.
Well, right.
$130 for a 2-year-old bourbon. Like, and I bought it.
Yeah, you bought a couple, I think.
Yeah. What good does it do to put in years of work and people can't buy it or won't buy it unless someone gives them some at their house or something? What have we accomplished? You got a bourbon that's too pricey. It doesn't deserve that because it's young, it's new. We're just starting. Let people buy it. They'll like it. They'll keep coming back. Their friends will keep coming back. Word of mouth. It moves the bourbon. And to me, I want this to be in a great demand. What good does it do to sit on the shelf for a high dollar and it just sits there? To me, it just doesn't make sense. People have got to be able to afford this.
It's not I think what you've done here is, this is not a pride thing just to have something out there that says Bradshaw on it. I think you intend for this to be widely consumed, widely available. So
Absolutely.
my big question is, where are we going from here, guys? Like,
Yeah, you talked about the experimental consumer. You've talked about even this bourbon being in still its infant stages and growing for a long time. Where is Bradshaw Bourbon going?
what's next?
So
Wow.
we will. I've been in the liquor business for 27 years, and I've been a part of launches. I'm an old Gallo guy. I worked for the E&J Gallo Winery for years and years and years. I've seen a lot of brands launch, and I've been a part of launches. I've never seen anything that has had the meteoric rise that this had. We launched in February during a pandemic with a product that nobody has ever heard.
Is that when this came out? It's last February 2020?
Wow.
Oh, I thought it was earlier than that. I didn't realize it had come out that soon.
And by the end of the third quarter of this year, we'll be in all 50 states.
Amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing.
For
That is
most people,
amazing.
they don't know how difficult that is to do.
I've never seen it in my career.
Most distributors in the past year, speaking from experience, they're not taking new products during a pandemic.
Amen. We know about that.
They're cutting back. They're furloughing staff. They're cutting the bar and restaurant teams. And because look, the bar and restaurants are shut down in like half the states or more. So it's a challenging time.
We can't. My idea on this, first of all, Jacob done a phenomenal job. He even let me take a cup and get some of the Bradshaw bourbon as it was coming from the still across the pipe and into God, Jacob, what's it going into? Another still, a barrel or something? I don't know. And it's coming out. Now, I want everybody to know, I hadn't even thought about how did the bourbon get its color. I never thought about that. But going into those barrels, and it was going across there, and he said, would you like to try some of your whiskey before it's put up in the barrel?
The white dog.
Yeah, white dog. That's it. That's another. See, there's another phrase I just learned. You're right. White dog.
White lightning, moonshine, hooch.
There you go. And so it's got a little slip on it, and you just take your cup as it's coming over. So I said, yeah. And what's it coming out, Jacob? 140?
138.
138. Woo! And we dipped down in there, bumped cups, and I said, it's good. I mean, white dog, red dog, I don't care what you call it. I'm just like, golly, this is good. So that was a fun day for me to see it going from one thing to the other and to put some labels on. And, I got to do that too. But being a novice in this, and the fact that we got it started at the worst possible time. We can't get out. I can't get out. I've got to sell this. I got to get on the road. Ryan and I do. I hired my son-in-law in Hawaii. He's moving it into the resorts, and I've got meetings set up when I go on my vacation. And the way it's going right now, I had to slow him down. I said, look, I'm on vacation. I can't for us to get started in February at the Super Bowl, for us to be basically rejected by a lot of places simply because of what you said. Nobody's taking on new product. And finally, we've been persistent, and now we're knocking down doors, which is—
You got the right team behind you.
Yeah.
So wait, so you
Fabulous.
mentioned the Super Bowl. So who do you have to win?
Well, tell me who's in, and I'll tell you who's going to win. How's that?
Touche.
I keep going back to Super Bowl one, Kansas City and Green Bay.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, my wife's a Chiefs fan, huge Chiefs fan. And I named one of my great studs, young stud, after Patrick Mahomes. His name's Mahomes. And I got him, when I saw him in New Jersey, I went up to him with a Kansas City Chief helmet. We were at an autograph signing. I went and got a helmet, and he signed a helmet to her. Oh my God. I mean, really, it sleeps between us. I mean, she loves this guy. So, you know what? I would like to see Aaron Rodgers win another one.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Kansas City win back-to-back because it's so hard to do.
Yep.
So I think right now I'd probably say Kansas City and Green Bay. But my God, here comes I'm the original TB. Let's get that clear right now. That's Terry Bradshaw. Then there's Tom Brady. All right. So I marvel at what he's done. I'm marveling what I played 12 years. He's in 20 something years now.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know? So they asked me on the show the other day at Fox, they said, Tom Brady, how many years did you play, Terry? When did you retire? I said, I was 32. He's 43. They said, wow, 11. He's been playing. He's almost had twice my career, right? 11 years. What does that mean to you, Terry? And I said, what it means to me is I lost $1.5 million. I wasn't even making 300 grand.
Oh, the times have definitely.
I know, man. So I would never want to bet against him. And if he's back there again, and pick him to win. I never seen anybody like him. In the last 2 decades, there's nobody like him.
It's phenomenal to watch.
It is. It is.
Jacob, what about you? Who do you got?
I lived in Florida for a good while, so actually near Tampa. So I like the Bucks. I'm a Bucks.
Well, it's worth mentioning. It's January 19th. This episode will be airing when you're listening to it. Audience is 27th of January. So got a little bit of time. Let's see if these guys are right. Ryan, who do you got?
I can't bet against Brady. Like I at the beginning of the year, I thought he's made a mistake. He's gone to Tampa Bay trying to do a Michael Jordan, like go and play someplace else. I didn't think that was a good decision. Obviously, he's figured it out over the course of the season. He when they beat New Orleans, and Terry said it last week, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, and so going up against New Orleans, that was a tough thing, and for them to come out with a win there. I got a hard time rooting against Brady. Love him.
Yeah, you look at I picked New Orleans because I'm obviously from Louisiana, and everybody laughed at me when we went off the air because I said they beat them by 17. Did I really think that out? No.
There's a little emotion.
I don't think anything out. I'm all about the feel for the show. I had 17 points. I should have said 27. But it doesn't matter. I thought New Orleans had a chance, but I just know how hard it is to sweep a team. And Brady had never been swept in his 20-year career ever. And the Saints swept him twice, beat him 38-3 the last time. You just knew it wasn't going to be like that. But New Orleans doesn't turn the football over 4 times. He got 21 points off of 4 turnovers. And that's the game. Brady played a nice game, but he didn't play a great game.
That their linebacker White,
remind
me of Brooks back there.
Yeah, they're good defensively. But I thought that Drew, who's probably retiring, I thought he doesn't look right. Ever since he broke those ribs and had the punctured lung, his arm, he got a much better arm than what I saw. He was throwing those outs, those O-cuts, and the ball had coming in with a lot of air on it. That's not how he throws a football. But he just couldn't making mistakes. Remember the last time Tampa Bay played New Orleans, Brady done one of the dumbest things we've ever seen him do when he threw across the field. Remember that, Jacob?
Yep.
That interception? I'm like, what is he doesn't do stuff like that. That's crazy. But the turnovers made all the difference in the world for Tampa Bay. In Green Bay, it's going to be colder than you know what.
Yeah.
He's going up with a guy that's as cool as him in the pocket.
Yeah.
Who has really good running backs. They have 2 really good running backs. They've got really good receivers. That Lazard guy has come on. The way they scheme, both offensive coordinators are really smart. The way they scheme and isolate players. It'll be hard to go against Green Bay. And I'll probably, if the other guys pick Green Bay, I'll just tell y'all this. If they pick Green Bay, I'll pick Tampa.
Got it.
Fair enough.
A contrarian.
Just and I'll shoot my mouth off. They're going to beat them by 12. I'll do something like that. But
if everyone agrees, it's not that interesting, right?
Yeah.
So
And then we'll worry about the Super Bowl later.
Exactly. Well, I think it'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out in the coming weeks. And
I know.
And just to kind of end the show, I mean, we've been all kind of very taken back by not just the quality but the price point on the Bradshaw Bourbon. Jacob, the whiskey you've put together here for the team at Bradshaw Bourbon is exceptional, and your distilling skills never cease to amaze me. And I actually, we just had a little nip of this barrel pick of one of your.
I didn't get to have it, man.
Oh, did you?
Come on.
Taste? Oh, I finished my glass. It is just like chocolatey and delicious, and hits all the right notes.
Can you taste the walnut in it?
Well, I taste the a whole, mixed macadamia.
It's Christmas in a bottle. I say it's
There you
like
go.
Christmas in a
Brazil
bottle.
nut, and no, it really is.
There's some
actually,
nuttiness in this.
It's desserty. I've always described Dickel,
good.
the Tennessee whiskeys, and the whole thing. I've always described them as a bit more on the peanut side of the world. Like they're very nutty and they're very peanut buttery and such. And this is one of the fewer whiskeys out of Kentucky that has that sort of nutty quality. But, you guys hit it out of the park. Are we going to see cask strength? Are we going to see rye? Are we going to see
Different finishes? What
wheated
are you guys going to
mash
do next?
Where is this brand going?
Yeah, I'll let the brains behind this answer that. But to answer your question, the second bottle that we had, we will come out with later, and we are, to my understanding, there are a lot of people that like the rye, and so we do have that also. I believe that's correct. Someone can
Rye
correct me
whiskey?
if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Right. I think.
So Jacob does a rye, a 95% rye, and we're going to do that. I think it's not quite of age yet to call it straight, but it's getting there. If I'm correct,
That's
Jacob.
right. Yeah, getting close.
And so we're gonna wait till we can call it straight rye before we bottle it, but that'll be this year. And then what you guys are tasting right now, I think is. So I've got one too. Is yours 117 proof?
Yep. It came in the green box.
Yep.
Yeah, 117 proof.
Yep.
So we're drinking the same thing right now. Terry,
Yeah, that one.
70, 21, 9. Yep.
This is what you tasted with Jacob out of the barrel.
That's
basically.
right.
Yeah, it's from the barrel.
Oh.
This is the cask strength, 117
You
proof.
remember that, right? Like that's what we're drinking right now. What you guys?
When we took the plug out.
Yeah, we had the whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
From the barrel. It's a whole.
It's
phenomenon.
yeah, so
It's
good.
Sweeping,
So
sweeping the world from the
Correct
barrel.
me if I'm stepping out of bounds here, guys. But this 3-year, 7-month-old whiskey, this tastes like an 8-10-year-old bourbon.
Okay, so here's what I would say about age. Okay, there's a huge mistake between age and quality.
Sure.
Quality is one thing. Flavor is amazing. It emanates from the whiskey, and it just kind of like takes you to a whole nother place. Age is more of a mouthfeel. And Jacob, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but
Yeah, I do.
you can get good and bad flavor from young and old whiskey. I think the age statement of a whiskey really delivers a mouthfeel and a depth and a lingering sort of finish that you don't get from a younger whiskey. That is not to say it's mutually exclusive with, say, flavor, where you can have a really flavorful young whiskey. Like look at American single malt. It's like really, really young whiskey coming out of all corners of the country. Colorado, Pacific Northwest, out of Texas. They're doing all these amazing single malt whiskeys, and they're young. They're 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, and the flavor is exploding. And then I go try like a 25-year-old Scotch. It's just, they're both 100% malted barley, but one is doing one thing with flavor and one's doing one thing with like just general mouthfeel. And the way you sip on this thing, you're like, oh my God, like my taste buds are dancing on a cloud right now. Cause this is 25 years old. Maybe it's psychology. I don't know. You have this whole thing going on, right? You've got this energy from an age statement. That's one thing. And then you have flavor. How good is the distillate? How good are the barrels?
There's so many different variables that go into it. It's, everything from how you source your grains. We buy direct from Kentucky farmers, local, off contract.
Nice.
What screen size you use to mill your grains, how small or how large. We use a little bit of the sour mash process back in our fermentation process and cooking. And, we have a really good distillation system. We have a lot of copper in our system. So we get a really sweet, smooth, we got a custom yeast strain that we use. And it all really starts from the white dog. If you can put bad, musty new make in a barrel, and in 4 years, it's going to taste musty. But, it's all those little things that add up at the end of the day when we're putting that white dog in that number 4 char barrel on the different levels of the warehouse. And, I'm just humbled to have all you guys brag on my stuff.
Yeah, well, we're sitting around enjoying it. We love it.
I don't think any of us would be here without you, man. Myself included.
I will say this. I'm sitting back here doing something I enjoy doing, which is listening and learning. And if nobody knew what we were talking about, and you removed those whiskey bottles off that table, I mean, it's quite an interesting verbiage you're using to describe a bourbon. It's like I never seen anything like that. So it's good to know that you have such a passion for it.
We're drinking. We got 800-900 bottles here. We drink a lot of scotch, a lot of American whiskey. Last year, like Cameron said, we drank through 300 different bottles on this show alone.
Yeah.
We're here to explore and learn and kind of dive into these things and really take into account everything that goes into, because you know what? When someone walks into a store, this is all they get. They get this.
Yeah.
And they may go online and they may check it out and they may do something, but if they can find us and discover this, then we've done our job, right? And
we love your guys' story that you're able to chat about this in such an intimate way, and the history behind what has gotten us to this point. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, Terry, your career and Jacob, your masterful craft, and Ryan, your experience, almost 30 years in the business. Just it seems like a perfect trifecta that you guys have put together.
Well, like I said, guys, this has been an absolute blast to hang out with you guys, to drink the Bradshaw Bourbon. We're so excited to see what comes next from you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has just been an absolute pleasure. So thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yep. Go to caskcartel.com and find your bottle of Bradshaw Bourbon and go ahead and pick one up.
I don't want to be going around the country and hearing you guys just push my bottle off to the side over there. Y'all enjoy that bottle of bourbon, all right?
Oh, we will very much enjoy it. Don't you worry, Terry.
Okay. And let me ask you guys, do y'all get tested at the end of the year? You guys have had to go in for rehab or anything like that?
I take a lot of days off for days like this. I like, my wife was having a glass of wine last night. She's like, she's like looking at me like, are you going to get one? And I'm like, no, I know what my week looks like. And my drinking days are planned well in advance. I know when I am and when I'm not.
Hey, listen, Jimmy Johnson is one of my best friends. He loves beer, Heineken Light. And he actually in the conversations with him while he's in Florida will say, yeah, I'll be going fishing in the morning. I got 7 Heine's Light on ice right now. I'll drink 4 driving out. And so I'm like, his guy actually plans his day around his beer.
Oh boy. Yes. Well, the times that we're in, let's put it this way, I give myself a little leeway. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
You have to. You gotta,
hey,
you gotta
thanks.
Take the edge off.
Thanks for having us on, fellas.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys.
Thank you so much for everything.
Incredible.
Bye, guys. All right.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Hello everyone, Cameron and Seth here. Just a few more things before we wrap up. First, you can always head on over to cartelhour.com for the show notes, which will include links to all the spirits mentioned and, of course, consumed on the podcast.
Absolutely. If you're interested in purchasing any of the spirits mentioned on the podcast, go ahead and click any of the links to be taken directly to those spirits or visit caskcartel.com. They are America's largest online premium spirits marketplace and have been featured in Rolling Stones magazine, Men's Journal, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, MarketWatch, and many others.
Yeah, they are awesome and super mobile friendly too. They're a fantastic resource to search through different types of spirits, and their platform is easy and straightforward. If you don't love driving around to every single liquor store in town and hoping they have what you're looking for, Cask Cartel is certainly the best e-commerce spirits platform I've personally come across.
Couldn't agree more. And you can find them on social media at Cask Cartel, and you can find us at Cartel Hour for the podcast, where you can find information about upcoming episodes and live tastings at the Infusery.
And speaking of those live tastings, for those living in or visiting the Los Angeles area that are truly intrigued, if you want to drink along with us, we would love to have you come and enjoy an evening at the Infusery to drink through a carefully selected assortment of spirits.
We offer custom flights and have a robust library of over 700 spirits to choose from. Visit our website for more information on how to become a member of the Cartel Club.
And if you're a spirits brand that would like to be featured on the podcast, please email us or send us a direct message on Instagram.
Thank you everyone for listening, and remember to always drink responsibly
and in good company.